Merchant of Venice was written 1596, 1597. It appeared in the first quarto, 1600, and in the first folio in 1623, of course. Okay, here's the deal. Bassanio is a debtor. That's why he's allowed. He doesn't have any money. His best friend, Antonio, has money. He's a rich merchant, but all of his money is out in his ships. He has like 6 or 7 ships going everywhere from England to Mexico, and they're all out getting goods, and they're returning from their voyages. So he's in love with Portia, and Bassiano is in love with Portia. He needs money to woo her because she is a rich heiress whose father died and left her all her money, but also she must marry, and she must marry the man who picks the right one of these 3 boxes: gold, silver, and lead. In order for Bassiano to get to Portia, he must have a lot of money, like all the princes who are coming to woo her. So he comes to Antonio and says, "You are my dearest friend. You know I'm in a lot of debt. I will marry Portia because she likes me, because I know her dad. She has a lot of money. Also, I'm in love with her. Can I have some money to go woo her?" And Antonio says, "Sure, all my money is out in the ships right now, but you can use my good name as a loan." Bassiano chooses the one man in Venice who hates Antonio. Shylock, the Jew. And Shylock hates Antonio because Antonio has slighted him. Antonio is a Christian, Shylock's a Jew. They just dislike each other. So Antonio and Bassiano borrow 3,000 ducats from Shylock. Shylock doesn't care about interest, which is big because Jews are usurpers and Christians hate them. Thank you, sorry. Christians hate them in this play because they charge interest. Instead of charging interest, if Antonio defaults on his loan, he must give Shylock a pound of his own flesh from nearest his heart. So, okay. The first prince comes to woo Portia. He chooses the chest of gold, which says you will get all that you deserve, and inside is a skull saying you may not woo anymore. Okay. This is Jessica. Jessica is Shylock's daughter. Lorenzo is in love with Jessica. Jessica's in love with Lorenzo. Lorenzo is one of Antonio's friends. Therefore, he is a Christian, she is a Jew. She runs away with Lorenzo, making Shylock all the more angry at Antonio because his daughter ran away with his friend, became a Christian, and in Act 2, Shylock blames Antonio and news that Antonio's ships have all been lost at sea is just thrown around Venice. Everybody in Venice knows that Antonio is now poor. And Shylock becomes more angry at Antonio, and decides that instead of letting him pay back his debt, which we don't know now if he's going to be able to or not, he is instead going to take the flesh, and that will kill Antonio. Also in Act 2, another suitor comes to Portia, picks the silver chest because he thinks, I don't want everything that all men want. He picks a silver chest, obviously doesn't win Portia. Bassiano goes to Portia, wins her by picking the right box. Bassiano's friend wins her maid, and they find out that all of Antonio's ships have been lost. He is defaulting on his loan, and Shylock is going to take all of his money. Take his flesh. They all return to Venice, in different guises. The men return to Venice to save Antonio. The women return to Venice to save Antonio, but in a scheme. They dress up as lawyers and show up at the last second, and when Shylock is about to show no mercy to Antonio and take the flesh that he owes, Portia, dressed as a lawyer, comes and says, "You may have your pound of flesh, but you can only have flesh. You cannot take any blood. If you can do this without taking any blood, you may have Antonio. But if you cannot, you will be killed. And if you choose to not do this at all, then you will be dealt with as a murderer." And so Shylock can't do that. The end.